Vice President Scott Barr will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much, Vice President Barr. Good evening and welcome to the 1,907th regular meeting of the Livonia City Council. This is a voting meeting. Minutes of this meeting will be approved at the next regular meeting scheduled to be held on Wednesday, November 4th, 2020. And just to note, that will be held Wednesday, the day after the election. We do not hold meetings the day prior to the election due to everyone in the city being involved and engaged, highly engaged in getting ready for the election the next day. Would the clerk please take the roll? I know that we do not have Councilmember Toy with us this evening. She let me know that she's ill and we wish her a speedy recovery.
Vice President Barr.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember McCullough.
Present.
Councilmember Donovic.
Here.
Councilmember Jolly.
Present.
President McIntyre.
Here. So we have everyone with us this evening except for Councilmember Toy. At this time, we'll have the presentation of the minutes for the 1,906th regular meeting of the City Council that was held on October 5th, 2020. Council?
So moved.
Is that White?
Right. Correct.
And second by Jolly. Any discussion or corrections? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please vote on approval of the minutes from the 1,906th meeting?
Vice President Barr.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the minutes are approved by all the members present this evening. At this time, I'll go to council if anyone has any announcements, tributes, or recognition they'd like to make. Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to take a quick moment and give my wife, Casey, a big shout out. She was just sworn in today as a library commissioner. Looking forward to her jumping on and much as she can with being a civil servant in our great city. So kudos to Casey.
Congratulations to Casey on her appointment to the Library Commission. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. I would like to wish a very important member of our team a happy birthday. That would be Information Systems Director Casey O'Neill, who will be celebrating a birthday, unknown number, on October 25th. So Casey, we hope that you're actually able to take a day off and enjoy some downtime with your family and have a COVID appropriate celebration. So on behalf of all of us, happy birthday. And also would like to announce we have new data for item 10, and I will refer specifically to that data when we get there. And one other thing I wanted to mention as we get through the month, and this is our last regular meeting for the month, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And if you're due for a mammogram, get your mammogram. If you have somebody that you know, care about, love, in your family, friends, and they are due for a mammogram, please urge them to get their mammograms. Mammograms are available on a reduced and low cost, in some cases free. They're offered through Medicaid, Medicare. There are the Komen Foundation, which has its offices in Southfield. You can get a hold of them. They can help you find a place for a reduced or low cost or free mammogram if cost is an issue that is prohibiting you from getting one. McLaren Health in Pontiac is also very active in the area of providing free and low cost reduced mammograms. And Medicaid and Medicare can, and this would be specific to Medicaid and some of the other programs, they're available, the programs are available to help women who are at or below 250% of the federal poverty level. And I'm bringing this last year. This became a very personal issue to me. I'd known throughout my life a number of people unfortunately, lost some people that I knew and loved that succumbed to breast cancer. And almost a year ago on Halloween, I was diagnosed with very, very early stage breast cancer. And as a number of people typify, I received the worst news that you could receive. And I was very fortunate because it was caught very early through a mammogram, and I had access to outstanding physicians and treatment. And again, it made me keenly aware of what people go through who are diagnosed with cancer. And I was in, probably the top 1% of a good situation with knowing that I had an excellent prognosis and excellent medical care. So get your mammograms, or urge those women that you know and love, care about, to get theirs. And with that, I will move ahead with introduction of the department heads. And you know that this is always a little bit tricky because unlike our meetings where I can see everyone, I have to go through two different lists. So this is in just the order in which people come up or appear. I'll begin with our outstanding city engineer, Mr. Todd Zielinski, our clerk, our city clerk, Susan Nash, our director of economic development and planning, Mr. Mark Tormina, our administrator of the council office, Sarah Kasperovich, our city attorney, outstanding city attorney, and I should say outstanding before all of these names. So I'm not going to say the implications that every one of them, every one of our department heads is sincerely outstanding. Paul Bernier, our city attorney, LaShawn Thomas, our new, but after a few weeks, right, becoming very seasoned director of legislative governmental affairs. And let me switch over to my other list. I see that we have Mr. Dave Varga, the city's director of administrative services. We have Linda Scheel, our city treasurer. We have Mike Slater, our director of finance. And I think that's it. And I already indirectly noted our outstanding director, and he did get outstanding because it's his birthday, our outstanding director of information services. Without him, none of these things would have happened during COVID. At this time, we go to the audience communication portion, the first portion at the beginning of our meeting. And I'm going to ask our parliamentarian, Councilmember White, to read the rules, please.
Thank you. I should know by heart by now, but I don't. So bear with me. So in terms of our rules, members of the public audience at the meeting shall not speak until they are recognized by the chair. Each person recognized by the chair to address the council shall identify himself or herself by name and, if appropriate, group affiliation. A person addressing council on an item on the agenda shall be limited to 2 minutes unless the period of time is extended by a majority of the council present, and shall be recognized to speak prior to council's consideration of the item. There will be an audience communication section of not more than 30 minutes duration at the beginning of all council regular and study meetings where citizens may address the council. There will also be an audience communication section at the end of all regular and study council meetings where citizens may address council on any matter that is not on the agenda of that meeting. Citizens who wish to expand upon their remarks will be asked to reduce the matter to writing and submit it to the city clerk, and such item may be placed on a future council study session for further consideration. A person addressing council under the audience communications portion of the agenda will be limited to a total of 3 minutes at each study or regular meeting unless the period of time is extended by a majority of the council present. Again, citizens who wish to expand upon their remarks may submit them in writing. And we, as a council, could place it on a future council study session for further consideration. There will also be, and this is a repeat, but audience communication section at the end of all regular and study council meetings where citizens may address council on any matter that is not on the agenda of that meeting. A citizen may address the council once during audience communication. If the citizen has addressed the council during the first audience communication period at the beginning of the meeting, the citizen will not be permitted to address the council again during any audience communication period at the end of the meeting. Anyone addressing the council shall make responsible comments. Personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks are not permitted. Anyone causing a breach of the peace may be removed from the council meeting. Thank you, Madam President. You're on mute.
Thank you. Two things. I do see that Mr. Jolly wishes to speak, but also Mr. Bernier came up here when I was wrapping up my other meeting and suggested that we should comply with something in the new executive legislative order pertaining to our Zoom meetings. Is that correct, Mr. Bernier? And we can go back to the roll.
Right, that's correct. It's kind of an open question as I read the statute, whether it applies, starts January 1 or starts immediately. Of course, the statute just signed by the governor on Friday or Saturday. It'd be impossible to have rules this quick, so I don't know how we could have done it quicker than this anyway. But in any event, the minimally at January 1, maybe before, but I'll have something to the council, is the council members, when we are remote like this, have to identify where they are, with the exception, of course, if you're in active military, just the fact that you're in military duty is enough. But for instance, if I were a council member, I would have to say Paul Bernier, President of the City of Livonia, State of Michigan. So I think it's safer if we begin that practice now rather than later until we find out what the true answer is.
So,
The clerk has to record that in the minutes of the meeting.
pardon me?
The clerk has to record the attendance and where the people are in the minutes.
So we've already established who's here, so it'll be sufficient if we ask the clerk to go back through the roster and ask everyone to state where he or she is by city and state or military.
That's sufficient. I don't think there's any reason to go beyond that.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, would you please not take the roll, but ask everyone to state the city and state in which they are, the council members, where they're located.
Vice President Barr,
Livonia, Michigan.
Councilmember White,
Livonia, Michigan.
Councilmember McCullough,
Livonia, Michigan.
Councilmember Donovic,
I am currently away on military duty, wishing I was in Livonia, Michigan.
Councilmember Jolly,
Livonia, Michigan.
President McIntyre.
Happy to be in Livonia, Michigan. Thank you. Mr. Jolly, did you wish to speak before going to audience communication?
No, Madam President, I was going to bring up the same issue that you did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, we will go to audience communication. According to my clock, it's 7:13, so we will conclude no later than 7:43 with audience communication. Sarah, good evening.
Good evening, council members. I just have a quick question about how the meeting will go in terms of audience communication. If we were going to comment on the budget, would that be something that we would address now, or would we address that when that item comes up in the agenda?
You address that item when it comes up during the agenda. Audience communication at the beginning and end is an opportunity for citizens to address any item that is not on the council agenda for that evening.
Okay, thank you very much. And then my other comment was that I have commented before and also had some correspondence with council members about a citizen review board for Livonia Police Department. I would really love for that to be something that the council would take up at a study meeting. So I just wanted to express my desire to potentially have a full council discussion of that in one of these sort of meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Overwater. All right, next we go to Victoria. And Victoria, if you're willing to give us your first and last name and your address, if you're willing to.
Oh, okay. Can I just use my first name just so
Sure.
for security purposes, I can follow up with an email.
No, that's
But I do have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I just said that's fine.
Okay, okay. I have a question. So I might be at the end of the meeting to make my comments because my comment is related to the unfinished business section of the meeting.
Okay, then you would speak when we get to that item, to that agenda item under unfinished.
Okay, okay, okay. I'll wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleen Jarrow.
Hi, Colleen Badgerow.
I apologize for
Oh,
mispronouncing.
no problem. Badger with an O.
Okay.
I live at 17415 Sunset Street in Livonia,
Okay.
and I would like to second what Sarah said, requesting a meeting agenda item about a civilian oversight committee. That's all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Badgerow. All right. And again, I will, if you appear on the screen as a slogan, you'll need to give us your name. So I will call on the individual whose initials show up as NJ. And no is the first word of the slogan. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is John Hillers. I live on Park Hill Street in Livonia. And I also would like to second, or I guess third, Sarah's comment on a citizen's oversight of the Livonia Police Department. We have received, or I've received reports of somebody who was told by an officer that Chief Cade had instructed them to not take complaints from this person. And if that's the case, who should this person go to in order to report the harassment they're receiving by a police officer, since Chief Cade has said they're not allowed to report it to the police department? So I think having a citizen's oversight, as been discussed before, is very important.
Thank you, Mr. Hillers, and I will respond to that as follows. Thank you for sharing the hearsay. And we've discussed this. The police chief, Chief Cade, works for the mayor. So the mayor is the supervisor, if you will, of Chief Cade. So if you have concerns with something about Chief Cade, it would be appropriate then to contact the mayor's office. Thank you. All right, next we go to Mrs. R. All right, Mrs. R, you do not have the current version of Zoom, and I forgot to mention this. We are asking if people wish to appear and be recognized through Zoom, that you need to have the current version of Zoom. You do not. I will allow you to speak, but we will ask you that before the next meeting, in order to speak, you really need to have the current version of Zoom. All right, good evening, Mrs. R. Oh,
I'm sorry, I was muted.
You're unmuted. Thank you.
Okay, so I left a voicemail for Councilman Barr and yourself. I never returned callbacks. I do know that you guys did say that you only contact people that voted for you, and I didn't vote for neither of you. So
excuse me, point of clarity, Mrs. R. No, neither of us have ever said that, and that's false, and we've never said that. So continue, please.
All right, that's what I heard I saw on Facebook, and that's what other residents had said during the meeting. So I'm just going by what I heard. I would like to fourth a citizen review board. I have been personally blocked from making complaints with the Livonia Police Department. I have it on video where the front desk told me they're instructed not to take complaints from me. Like I said, it is on video. I wanted to make a complaint against an officer for refusing to let me show an electronic proof of insurance, which under MCL 257.328, a citizen does have the right to produce an electronic insurance document. And the officer refused, saying that Livonia police do not do that. So they do not enforce state law, apparently. That's what they told me. That's also on video. I did get a call from the mayor's office that stated that the racist text messages from a Livonia officer were fake. However, on July 10th, 2019, a forensic analyst named Joshua Bryant of the Michigan State Police Computer Crimes Unit did a forensic download of that officer's phone, which were used in a criminal case that went through the 16th District Court here in Livonia. So they are legitimate, they are real, they were authentic enough to be used in a criminal case and brought on as evidence from a state prosecutor, but your chief is telling the mayor's office that they're fake. So we all know that polygraphs are not admissible in court. This is not a court hearing. I would like to challenge Chief Cade into taking a polygraph to prove that he is not lying about the racist text messages. And that's all I have to say.
All right, and again, complaints about Chief Page should be directed to the mayor's office and.
The mayor's office will not speak with me,
Okay, I'm sorry.
and they hung up on me when I called.
The mayor's office, well,
Yes, and I have that on recording as well.
I'm sorry about that. You know,
Yes.
the office doesn't work for us, so that's,
Yeah, doesn't seem to be much accountability in Livonia.
thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to speak to the voicemail issue. First of all, neither and I don't usually speak for Vice President Barr, but I will in this case, neither of us have ever said that or posted that on Facebook. And if you think about it, it's a ridiculous statement because how would we know who voted for us? I mean, I know maybe 100 people that voted for me because they told me they voted for me. Outside of that, I have no idea who voted for me. So this idea that we could screen emails or voicemails based on whether people have voted for us or not is, I mean, on its face, ridiculous. And when calls are left for me, I return those calls. If those calls are simply accusatory, general accusatory things about the city, I don't return those. But I always return calls that are sincere and ask me a question or request for information. I don't know, Mr. Barr, if you'd like to comment.
I just have one comment, if I may.
Please.
If there's a way for me to know who all voted for me, it would save me an awful lot of money in targeted mailings in the next election.
Good point. All right. We still have some time left. Is there anyone else who would like to communicate with the council this evening? All right. Heather F. Good evening.
Good evening. This is Heather. I'm a homeowner in Livonia and calling to be the fifth person to ask that the idea of a citizen oversight commission be considered with the council. I have heard the council say that the police report to the mayor repeatedly, but I do agree that there is a lack of accountability overall. And also, it's going to get pretty annoying for you guys to hear us keep asking about a citizen oversight commission. So regardless of who the police reports to, it could be really cool for you guys to just, throw us a bone and talk about this with us. I disagree, Councilman Barr, and I was pretty disappointed that you came to the conclusion that the mayor, who is already the supervisor of the police, would be sufficient for civilian or citizen oversight. It's not sufficient. It's not enough checks and balances. So again, I would like to be the fifth person to recommend that this be considered by the council, despite who the police may report to. It's a city issue. It affects all of us. I would like to also just let the city know that there were racist graffiti that were found at Rotary Park. And some of you may have seen this. Councilman McCullough posted about it on Facebook. I and the rest of us here that are calling about these issues would expect all of our elected representatives to take this as an opportunity to discuss racism existing in our city. So would anyone else like to make a comment on this?
I don't think so. Anything else, Heather?
Yes, I would also like to say that Livonia Citizens Caring About Black Lives held a brake light repair clinic over the weekend. It was a hugely successful event. We helped 22 different vehicles with their brake lights, taillights, and other lights. We had extremely dedicated, kind, positive, hardworking volunteers that helped people just because, and ultimately helped them avoid a traffic stop that's probably dangerous given that police view them as dangerous. So I would just like to recognize everyone in Livonia Citizens Caring About Black Lives. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to make a few general comments to that. First of all, regarding the racist graffiti in Rotary Park, I hope that you called the police about it. I hope you called the mayor's office about it. I don't get all, I try to go on Facebook and see what's going on in the city. I get my information generally from official correspondences from the mayor's office, from police department, from other departments, my colleagues. So I didn't see that. I certainly would have taken action and contacted the mayor's office and police department had I seen it. The other item about the LCC ABL hosting a volunteer taillight and brake light repair clinic. I think that's outstanding, and I can't think of anything better for an organization to do than to translate talk and concerns into action that helps people. So congratulations, kudos to the organization for doing that. I think that's fantastic, and I'm sure a lot of people who needed to have taillights and brake lights repaired appreciate it and will be helped by that. So fantastic. Thank you, and thank you for sharing that with us. Next, we go to Alexandria H. Good evening, Alexandria.
Hi, this is Alexandria. I just wanted to be the sixth person to echo the need for a Citizens Oversight Commission. And also, I know the police chief reports to the mayor, as you guys have said, but I've seen council members online praising the police chief and making comments. So if you can make comments online about the police, then you can sure say whether or not what they're doing is incorrect. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Alexandria. Appreciate your call. And next we go to Guy. Good evening, Guy.
Hi, good evening. My question is regarding.
Your name indeed, Guy. Could you please give us your name? And
Hi there. My name is Steve. I live in Castle Garden subdivision. My question or comment is regarding waste removal. I bought a house 4 years ago, and I don't think the GFL, Rizzo, whatever the current service is, I don't think it's a good service. I think it's poor. Growing up, we had waste management, which was an excellent service. So I was wondering, have other residents noticed this? How long is the contract good for? And are they actively reviewing this type of service?
well, Steve, thank you for calling. I believe we still have Mr. Varga on, and we have Ms. Thomas on, both of whom work with the mayor's office. And I know that they've heard these concerns and will pass them back to the mayor and the Department of Public Works.
Madam President?
Yes.
Madam President?
Vice President Barr.
Just to add to that, I'll just answer his one other question. I'm 95% sure about this, so there's a chance I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I believe the current contract is up at the end of next year, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm sorry. At the end of 2023. Yeah, 2023. That's right. It's the end of 2023 because it was an 8-year contract that was signed in 2015. So you just asked that question. I was pretty sure I knew the answer. I see Clerk Nash nodding her head, who was on council at the time, so I think I have that right. But if you want to answer, you were looking.
And when does that? Is there a separate meeting? Is there a meeting dedicated to that when it's up for renewal, or how exactly does that work?
When it comes up for renewal, it would come before City Council at that time, and as an agenda item.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyone else before we close out audience communication? All right, seeing none, we will continue with the rest of the agenda. Thank you to everyone who took the time to call in. We were going to have a report from Mr. Davis, but he also is under the weather, so we will not have that. But I know that our clerk, Ms. Nash, would like to speak to us about her favorite subject, the election.
Thank you very much. Yep, this is my favorite subject right now is election. Just to remind everyone, election day is 2 weeks from tomorrow, November 3rd. Polls will open at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. If you have an absentee ballot, it must be returned to the clerk's office by 8 p.m. election day. You can bring it here. You can drop it off outside. We also have a drop box inside. We are here every day issuing absentee ballots over the counter. We ask you to have a little bit of patience. We've had some crowds, so we're trying to get people out of here 15 minutes, give or take. We are open Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from 8:30 till 5, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 to 7 p.m. And on Halloween, we will be here on Saturday. Halloween, we'll be here from 8:30 to 4:30. And at that time, we are issuing ballots. So if you want to come on in, come down. We got lots of ballots here. And if for some reason you need to spoil your ballot, please come to the City Hall and we can take care of that too. If you have any questions, give our office a call, 734-466-2233. And again, the election day is 2 weeks from tomorrow. If you are not registered to vote, you have to come in person now. As of tomorrow, you have to register in person at your local clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clerk Nash. And again, kudos to you and your outstanding team who, the other day, I actually came to turn in my application and get my ballot, and there were a lot of people there, and I was astounded with how quickly the turnaround time was. And people seem to be getting very clear directions and understanding if they wanted to vote then what they needed to do, and all the information. So thank you. And thanks to your outstanding staff. All right, with that, we move on to our consent agenda. Items 1 through 5 are listed on the consent agenda. They're voted on as one item. It does not mean that they are any less important than any other items on the agenda, but rather that they have been determined not to be controversial in nature. Council.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Jolly.
I'd like to offer an approving resolution of the consent agenda.
Support.
Support from Vice President Barr. And would you please take the vote, Madam Clerk?
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Yes.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the consent agenda is approved unanimously by the 6 council members who are here this evening. And with that, we go on to unfinished business, beginning with meetings of the committee. Item number 6 is the Finance and Budget Committee. The meeting was September 23rd, 2020. And it is respectfully suggested that the City of Livonia preliminary documents for fiscal year 2021 received on September 15th, 2020 be received and placed on file for the information of council, and also respectfully suggested that the supplement to preliminary budget 2020 through 2021 personnel worksheets received on September 15, 2020 be received and placed on file for the information of the council. With that, I'm going to turn this item over to Vice President Barr, who is the chair of the Finance and Budget Committee, to report out on the meeting. Vice President.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. So as you said, this is a report out from our meeting on September 23rd, which, and really what we'll do tonight is the culmination of a budget process that began back on August 10th with the council committee meeting to talk about the expectations for the budget and to give some suggestions for it. Since that time, the budget was submitted to council on September 15th per the charter. And on September 23rd, we did meet as a committee and excuse me, and to review the proposed budget from the mayor's office. And in that meeting, as is typical, the mayor made some opening comments. City Assessor Linda Goslin then took it through the assessment data, and Finance Director Mike Slater then took us through the details of the budget. Meeting lasted a couple of hours. Had some good discussion, as we always do in that meeting. And then following that, on October 7th, we had a public hearing on the topic. And so what we'll have before us tonight, and I'll share a few additional notes about the budget here, and then we'll ultimately be looking for a motion to approve that budget. So some highlights, which some of these things I've talked about before, but some of the high highlights is, first and foremost, as required by the charter, we have a balanced budget. Second of all, key point, the general fund balance is at about 25% of the general fund. The recommendation, the best practice for that is 16.7%, or 2 months worth of expenses. So to be at 25% puts us in a very flexible position, which I know was a shared objective of everyone, particularly in the uncertain times in which we live with COVID going on, and not entirely sure yet how that's going to affect budgets in the next couple of years. With this budget, Livonia continues to work with the lowest city tax rate in Wayne County. I know it's a point of pride for all of us, and it's worth commending the mayor, the department heads, council for continuing to stay focused on efficiently providing our core services that allows us to keep this cost of government as low as possible for our residents. And I know I've said this before, but I want to say it again because I think it's so important, is that this this continued discipline is really a hallmark of our city, and it's a huge part of what keeps our community strong. And while the mayor proposes and council approves a budget, the backbone of this fiscal discipline is really you, the citizens, and the citizens of our city. And we need you to continue to engage, to watch what we do, to ask questions, and in short, to just hold us accountable. Livonia, I'm very proud of how we continue to be a well-run and fiscally responsible city. And I really think the residents get the ultimate commendation for this, because even though we may be the ones working with the budget, they're the ones that put us here. And it's important for us as stewards of those public funds to continue to remember that while it's fun to talk about big new projects and those have a place, we can't ever lose sight of the fact that our primary responsibility here is to be good stewards of citizens' money in delivering just the fundamental nuts and bolts city services at a high level. And so I think our low tax rate relative to surrounding communities is strong evidence that we're doing that. Another point that I want to highlight is our revenue is actually up 1% this year, which makes this another record revenue year for Livonia. It's been good economic times here, and even with COVID, we ended up coming through it to, I think, surprise of all of us with a projected budget that's even a little bit, or projected revenue levels that are even a little bit higher than last year. But as I already said, we need to still be diligent just because I don't think any of us are really expecting that in the next couple of years. We'll be delighted if that continues to happen, but I don't think any of us are planning on that. Hence the 25% fund balance. Just one comment. Obviously we had a 2-hour meeting that only scratched the surface of the details of the budget. I'm sure each council member went through the details on their own. But I'm just going to take the opportunity, since I have the floor here, just to express one small disappointment I have, but I emphasize small, which I'll explain here. And that's just, I think it's important, especially when we continue to have the revenue coming in, that we don't lose sight of our building improvement capital projects. That's the last few years, we've really put a lot of focus on starting to put money aside during these good times for the purpose of future building projects. We recently took out financing on the DPW building, which absolutely needed to be done. But I'd love to see us in a position in the future where we don't need to finance like that. And we have $1.3 million accumulated there. This budget currently does not put any money into that. But the mayor did note that the hope is to put some money there as the COVID situation becomes more clear and the administration feels comfortable doing that. And I just want to state that I hope that remains a priority going forward, and I'll be watching for that. So in summary, though, while there's always going to be differences of opinion on specific aspects, overall, this is a very solid budget that respects, I feel, respects the mayor's ability to organize her administration as she best sees fit, while continuing to manage our resources responsibly. So we'll obviously continue to monitor this as the fiscal year progresses. So that's really my report out from that meeting, Madam President. And I think at this point it'd be appropriate to look for a motion unless there's comments first for approval of that budget.
Council. Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd be more than happy to offer an approval to this fiscal year's budget if that is the right verbiage to state.
All right, Councilmember White.
Support.
Support from Councilmember White. All right, we have a motion to approve offered by Councilmember McCullough with support from Councilmember White. Council, before I go to the audience, does anyone in council wish to comment? Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. I have no substance to add here. I'll just note that on the meeting minutes, I marked absent when I did call in for the meeting, and I was attempting to get added as a panelist. I was kept as an attendee the entire time.
Okay. All right. Thank you for raising that, Mr. Jolly. All right. Anyone else? Okay. With that, we'll go to the audience, beginning with the first hand I saw, Colleen Badgerow.
Hello. So just a little background on me and my motivation for speaking on this issue. I grew up here in Livonia, been a resident again for the past 3 years, and while walking at Rotary Park, My 5-year-old daughter was the one who came across the racist, offensive graffiti on the concrete footing just off the trail. As shocking as it was to me, I can only imagine how painful and damaging it would have been to a Black person, adult or child, to see the threatening words that we came across. I was already aware of the racism that's alive and well in this city, but seeing it so starkly in my face, most likely from area youth, really broke my heart and ignited the drive to stop just complaining about the lack of diversity and the negative reputation we have here and instead commit to doing something about it. So I look forward to ongoing conversations with all of you about how to not only just promote diversity and inclusion, but further and more importantly, anti-racism, as this is we're not welcoming people into an environment that puts them at risk for great harm and aggression. At the last meeting, I had asked about the large sum of money allocated in the budget toward golf course improvements, with only $2,000 going toward the Human Relations Commission. In that meeting, Mayor Brosnan responded that you can't just look at one line item to see the whole picture of what's being done. But I've really scoured the entire budget proposal and I can't see additional funding anywhere for this important commission, which has been the gargantuan task of, according to the city website, 1, ensuring that everyone is treated fairly regardless of race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, disability, and other identity. 2, to shed a brighter light on racial and social injustice that permeates all communities, including Livonia. And 3, to activate the next generation to shape the strategies that will lead to ending racism. I'm hoping someone can inform me where additional funding for the HRC is coming from, since $2,000 is grossly inadequate when it comes to that mission. I love the unconscious bias training that's begun.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Thank you, Ms. Badrow.
Okay.
All right. I would just like to comment on the graffiti, which again, I don't usually speak for council, but I know that all of us find that extremely troubling, outrageous, and absolutely intolerable. And you know, on behalf of whomever did that, I really hope that you will figure out that that's not a way to go through life with hate and destruction in your heart. And as I mentioned, the response to that should be to call the police department, and I assume that someone did, and I'm glad that Councilmember McCullough also saw it on Facebook. All right, Mr. Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to spend a quick on the actual graffiti. So just to kind of even give a shout out to our public services or public works. So I did receive a message forwarded on to the mayor's office, and within the next day by 1 o'clock or even by noon, the issue was remediated. And the post that that we're speaking of is basically just like as you stated, racism has no place. That kind of work has no place in our city. And, you know, we're going to condone that. We're going to try to move the city forward and make Livonia a place that's welcome for everyone. So that's just kind of a touch base. And again, and kudos to the DPW for turnaround quickly in the mayor's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember McCullough. Vice President Barr.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak briefly. Obviously, it's not our budget, but I think I can confidently speak to the point about the Human Relations Commission and the funding. Like all of our commissions, I believe that funding is probably just for some small salaries for being commission members, and that's pretty typical for all our commissions. It's important to understand that that commission is in an advisory role to the mayor's office. So any city actions that would require funding that might be recommended by that and which the city would choose to pursue, that funding would come from other sources, not straight out of that commission. That commission doesn't have any authority to make legislation or to make rules on their own. They're an advisory body. So hopefully that's helpful. I don't know that necessarily answers your concern, but it helps clarify the reason why that amount is what it is. All
right, thank you. Anyone else in council? All right, next we will move along to Sarah Overwater.
Hi, thank you. First, I wanted to say that I think it would be wonderful if you could give Colleen more than 2 minutes. She really did a lot of work and spent a lot of
Thank you,
her
Ms.
time.
Overwater. I'll just remind you that you're using your 2 minutes now, and those are the rules of the council. I didn't make those, those have stood forever, so
I suppose I misunderstood Ms. White then. It sounded like it said that you guys could allow someone to speak longer than 2 minutes on an agenda item. That's what I thought that I heard.
If a majority of the council wants to allow it, yes.
I think that you should consider allowing Colleen to speak longer than
Thank
2.
you. She didn't ask for more time, so we're moving along. Thank you, Ms. Overwater.
Okay, well, I know that she spent a lot of time, her own time, looking through this budget. It's very disappointing to have a reaction like that. You know, I think I'm too upset to continue to be dismissed like this by the council when we work so hard to try to engage. I don't have anything else to say to you. I really don't.
Thank you. I'd just like to comment on that. I'm sorry that Ms. Overwater finds this very upsetting. The rules are there for everyone, and the rules were read out loud as we do at every meeting now by the parliamentarian, so everyone has a chance to understand them. Ms. Badgerow would have been free to have asked for additional time, as was stated very clearly, and her request would have been considered. And had a majority of council wanted to grant her additional time, she would have been granted additional time. And I'm sorry that Ms. Overwater felt dismissed. I wanted to remind her that using her time to indicate that Ms. Badgerow should have had more time was taking her 2 minutes. So I apologize for Ms. Overwater feeling upset and taking this personally, but these are the rules of the meeting, and we go over them. We go over them extensively and in detail at the beginning of every meeting, just for this exact reason. So with that, we'll go on to Mrs. R. All right, Mrs. R, we will, again, I've indicated to you, and I think this was a prior meeting too, that you will need to upgrade to the current version of Zoom in order to be able to communicate with us via Zoom. But for this meeting, we will, there we go. Good evening, Mrs. R. And again, if you could give us your first name and at least last initial.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Katie Rogowitz.
Okay, thank you.
I know you've addressed the Zoom thing. This is my daughter's laptop. It's a Chromebook from Livonia Public Schools. So if that's good enough for their virtual learning and Zoom meetings, that I would assume that that should be good enough for a Zoom meeting for a public hearing. These Zoom meetings only limit 100 participants in a city of 90,000 plus. So to be further exclusive to people to be part of these meetings, I find to be questionable.
I'd like to address that, and our parliamentarian will stop your clock, so this isn't cutting into your time. 100 people, and if that is indeed the case, that's our technical limit. We've never had, I am not aware, nor have I ever heard any complaints following a meeting, nor has it ever looked to me that we hit the 100 limit and had people that couldn't get on due to the limit. But thank you. Okay.
Well, when I spoke over the summer, you cut me off twice and kicked me out of the meetings. And when I tried to join back in, it said 100-person limit. So
I apologize. And
yeah, but this is LPS issued.
Okay, and again, we'll stop your time. You were never kicked out of a meeting, so that we don't kick people out.
Yes, it was twice. I have it recorded. I record everything, including my voicemails with you, where I did ask you to call me back and never did. I said it was because Livonia Police did not take a complaint from me, and you and Scott Barr never called back.
My apologies.
And I have those recorded as well. There was no insults or threats in those either. But my remark about Scott saying that about fiscally responsible, I met with a council person over the summer, and she told us about 1,000 years per service for every police officer. Is this a collective bargaining issue? Because apparently Mayor Brosnan wants the city council to vote on it in a closed session, which under sunshine laws in Michigan, it would have to be considered a collective bargaining to be closed from the public. So is this something that you guys plan on doing so people have a say in this, or is this going to be a backroom dealing?
you have anything else to say? I don't want to take up any more of your time with,
Well, I also have you recorded saying that you do have the authority to let people speak longer, but you dictate who gets to speak longer. And it usually is the people that support your narrative and agenda. Like a police chief gets to speak for 8 minutes. A lady complained about her trees for 8 minutes. But when people have serious concerns, you brush them off. It's not fair. You guys work for us. And you have good health care that helps you get better, which I'm glad for, and I'm glad you're going to be okay. But it's because of us. We need a little bit more respect. We need a little bit more dialogue, and you're refusing to give it to us based on your own, whatever it is. Like Sarah said, I don't know. You guys are intolerable.
Thank you, Ms. Rogowitz. I would like just to address a few things. First of all, it is a collective bargaining agreement. It's permitted in a closed committee. It does not, however, voting does not occur in a closed committee, and we're well aware of the law, and we do not take votes in a closed meeting because that would be counter to the law. So yes, it was permitted, and the voting will be in public. And the other thing that you mentioned, and there was a lot there, so I'm trying to remember what else. Oh, your comment about healthcare. I'm not sure how that is germane. I don't have healthcare through the city, so thank you for your comments on that. And I see that Ms. Badgerow is back with us. I assume she wants to ask for more time, and we generally do not let people come back on to ask, but under this case, I will allow it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I know it's kind of like a tense.
Well, do you wish to make a request for additional time?
Yes, may I please have an additional time slot to finish my statement?
Council?
Madam President,
Yes.
how long would this time be?
Yeah, it needs to be time bound, Ms. Badgerow.
May I please just have an additional 2 minutes?
Council, are there any objections?
Madam Chair, I don't object.
Pardon me?
Support.
I don't object to an additional 2 minutes. That's fine.
All right.
Support.
Objections. Ms. Badgerow, you have 2 additional minutes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate Councilman Barr's statement about the funding for the HRC. That does clarify a little bit. But my concern, if there's not money set aside specifically for anti-racism initiatives, then any recommendations that board, that commission advises to the mayor's office will be unfunded. For example, if they suggest unconscious bias training for the community at large, not just city employees, to maybe be held at the rec center once a month, where would the funding come for that type of work? Because that's truly the work that needs to be done. And I want to make sure that commission, if they come up with real solutions, has some teeth or some ability to make the changes that they're recommending.
Raises a question that, if I may, I might just address this to city attorney. It might be a good time to ask this. So as council president said, Paul, the mayor has said, and she said this publicly, that that it's a grant from Masco that is paying for that diversity training. Typically, at least into my time on council, I know we routinely accept grant money here at council. We just recently did from the clerk's office. I know there's usually stuff like through the Parks and Recreation that we accept in lump sums at one point in the year. I don't think we've ever accepted that. It might be a good opportunity just to address the question of how that grant money is handled and how that's entered into the budget.
I can't speak at how it's handled into the budget, but typically speaking, grant money or gifts that are given to the city, a lot of times we do present it to council as a courtesy, so council knows that in fact there is money coming in that's being gifted to the city. It's an opportunity so the community knows it's coming in, so council knows it's coming in, and also to say thank you to the person or organization that gave the money to the city for whatever purpose it was. But there is no legal requirement that council accept the proceeds into it. From where it goes into the budget, I would have to leave that to Mr. Slater. our budget director, but it goes into the budget and then the money. If money is being spent, however, and it reaches a certain level of spending, then of course the council's responsibilities kick in as to approve the spending.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up. That's helpful for me. And I guess that just leaves the question as to, so what you're saying is, so anything below $15,000, just like anything else, wouldn't have to come to us, but if it were above that, it would come to us for approval?
That's correct.
Or to expend it, okay.
And I think
Again, I wasn't involved in the budget on the spending of it, and I'm not the budget director, so I hate to speak directly, but as a general rule, if it's beneath the threshold of $15,000, it doesn't have to come to council for council approval. If it's above 15,000, then it would.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
All right, I'm going to, I think Mr. Slater would like to address this issue. Mike?
Good evening, Council. Mike Slater, Director of Finance. To address Mr. Barr's question, the Masco dollars, which we received in December of 2019, so it is within this fiscal year, was not actually a grant, it was a gift. Grants usually have stipulations to how those dollars are spent. And sometimes the grants have provisions that say it needs to be accepted by the legislative body. Sometimes they don't. If there's provisions that say the legislative body needs to accept it, they obviously come to council. But other ones are brought to council simply, as the city attorney said, to recognize the generous gifts from a number of people. You see those for libraries and other things where people donate money to the city, and we recognize those folks. Back to this specific item, and I believe I had mentioned this previously, but maybe I did not. We're going to be coming to City Council shortly with a number of budget adjustments for this fiscal year. The Masco dollars is one of them in order to get approval to spend those money. We don't have to get approval to receive the money. We do need approval to spend the money because council appropriates dollars. So you will see that probably the first meeting in November in terms of that'll be one of many budget adjustments we're coming to City Council to have you review and approve, hopefully. Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes, Vice President.
Well, since we have Mr. Slater here, and thanks for coming up, Mike, and I guess we are still on the budget agenda item. I almost forgot. Mike, so the $50,000 from Masco, is that currently, you said a budget adjustment, but is that to put the revenue in, or is the revenue already reflected in there somewhere? And if so, where?
The revenue is reflected in the 2020. We've deposited the money. Obviously, when we get it in, we're going to deposit it. It's in a revenue account. We don't need council approval to accept the money. What we do need is council approval to spend the money. And so as part of that budget adjustments, we'll show you both sides of it. I'm just saying from a legal standpoint, council appropriates dollars, and for us to spend that money, we need council to appropriate it. That's correct.
Yeah, I fully understand that. I'm just asking what account is that money currently sitting in now?
I don't have the number memorized off the top of my head. It's a revenue account.
Well, the number is $50,000. I'm just asking what department we put that money in.
It's a revenue account. It doesn't go into a department.
I got you. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Barr. Anyone else from the audience who wishes to speak on this? I see no hands up. So with that, I will ask Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the
Madam President, before we do that, I just want to make sure that it's clear that the vote is on both the levy and on the budget. Is that correct? That was the.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that.
The vote, as I thought, just on the budget, I thought we had to handle the levy separately. Am I wrong about that? I think that's how we've done it in the past.
It looks to me like the proposal is all in one, but I just wanted to confirm it. They're ands.
Hey, fine by me if we can do that.
That's how it's written, and I should have stated that. So thank you for clarification.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear on the record.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Bernier. And they are written. It is written as one resolution, and I guess I should have been clear when I asked for the, when I asked council for action on this. That it reads, proposed budget for the city of Livonia for the fiscal year ending November 30th, 2021, and the property tax millage proposed to be levied to support the proposed budget. This was Council Resolution 244-20, with a public hearing held on October 7th, 2020.
So we're handling that, sorry, Madam President. My recollection from doing the last 4 years is that we had to handle that separately. I mean, it says and between the receiving files too. That doesn't mean we handle it all at once. I mean, I don't want to, Paul, you're the city attorney. I'll take your word. I just want to make sure we're doing this right. I thought we'd always done it separately before, but if it doesn't make a difference, let's do it all at once. It'll save us a few minutes.
Well, I will say this, I haven't been the city attorney as long as you've been on council, but I did have Mike Fisher look at it, and this is the way Mike Fisher said it should be.
Fair enough.
My general rule is if Mike Fisher said it's okay, it's good with me.
Fine by me.
All right, so we are going to ask the city clerk to take the vote on the resolution that was offered, and to be clear, the approving resolution that encompasses both the proposed, or both the budget for the fiscal year ending November 30th, 2021, and the property tax millage proposed to be levied to support the budget. All right, Madam Clerk.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye. And the resolution passes with 6 votes, and the budget is approved, as is the millage rate that supports the budget. Thank you. All right, moving along with unfinished business, item number, that was, let me just make sure, that was item number 6, correct? Yep, that was item number 6. We're now unfinished business, item number 7. This is a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance. Number 543 is amended. This comes to us from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2020-07-01-03, submitted by Leo Suave Building Company to rezone the property at 37855 Linden Avenue, the former Webster Elementary School site located on the south side of Linden Avenue between Newburgh and Hicks Road in the Newburgh and Hicks Roads in the southeast quarter of section 19 from PL, public land, to R1, one family residential, 60 by 120 lots. The public hearing was held on September 28th, 2020. Council.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Jolly.
I'll offer an approving resolution for purpose of discussion.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Donovan. Mr. Jolly, did you?
Yeah, I just offered my motion to move the matter along. If the petitioner is here, or if anybody else would like to address, I'd go there.
All right. Mark, do we know if the petitioner is with us? I don't see the petitioner.
Could I ask a question? Was that proposal for resolution A to approve or resolution B to deny, just to be clear? Because we had 2
I'm
resolutions.
sorry, I should have clarified. Councilmember Jolly?
Well, that's an approving for purpose of discussion.
All right, I thought he had said approving, but I wanted to make sure.
Right, okay.
The petitioner is not on. I don't know if council would like to say anything before we go to the audience. All right, we will go to the audience. Victoria, good evening. Victoria, are you able to unmute yourself? I'm trying to.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yay. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. So I'd like to just kind of address this amendment. I live in Castle Garden subdivision, and I live around the old Webster site, and it really has become a very beautiful open space / green space for us over the last 11 years, and it is used very frequently. It's become a natural resource, and people have even bought houses in here because of it. They drive by and see it and say, isn't that beautiful? And we have lots of people that come here to walk and run with their dogs or run. They've had, radio field day here. Last year, they had their highest attendance yet. And I just think that it serves as part of the core to not only our immediate subdivision, but to the city of Livonia, because I've seen people that come from outside of Castle Gardens, because they know of it. They come with their dogs or with their family. And so I just wanted to say a few words about possibly preserving it if we could find a way to do that. And I guess that's it. I could probably email you. I don't want to take over 2 minutes. I just kind of wanted to say something brief about it, that it is kind of a small treasure to our subdivision.
Thank you. Thank you for your call, and thank you for your comments. And just to remind others who may be on, the property currently belongs to the school district, and the city and the school district are separate legal entities. The city has zero jurisdiction over that property. It belongs again to the school, to Livonia Public School District, and it's their decision to sell the land. And we don't have anyone from the public schools on here, but when you are a school district, as I think every school district is, strapped for funds, and you're sitting on property that costs you money to maintain, and you have an opportunity perhaps to sell it and help your district finances, then in this case, they decided to take that option to do it. So the decision to sell was made by the school district. But thank you again, and you may have already known that, and I'm not assuming you don't, but I'm reminding others who are on the call of that. All right, with that, we go on to Brent Sabo.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening, Mr. Sabo.
So I live in the Castle Gardens neighborhood as well, and I second what Victoria said, that we do enjoy this land as green space, and it is an asset that we enjoy. Having the radio day there is nice. I think the land has a lot of potential beyond that for public use. The issue with rezoning public land is once it is no longer public land, you will never, or I should say the public will never get that land back. I understand that the school district had the right to sell this land. And now the city council has the decision to rezone it or not. Because if it is not rezoned, then it can't be developed on, and that's what we're asking here today, I think. Please do not approve this decision. The neighborhood benefits from this land. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sabo. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Madam President.
Yes, Vice President Barr.
Yeah, since we'll be taking a vote on this, and it looks like there's not any more comments from the public, I'll just respond to a couple things and explain why.
I think maybe we do have one additional public comment, but I can't tell.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and say this anyway,
Okay.
and then she can speak. But I just want to explain why I do plan on voting to approve this tonight. And I certainly respect where the residents are coming from, and we can always understand the disappointment with losing green space. And I've said this here before, but these residents probably haven't heard me say this. There was a vacant lot I played on behind our house when I grew up that got developed later in my school years. And so I know what that feels like. If this were, as you know, when our city was planned, most of the square miles within our city were given a park and a school. And if this was a case where we were losing that for this neighborhood, I think the city would have an interest in keeping this zone the way it is. But the reality is, in this neighborhood, this was a neighborhood that had 2 schools, And just 2 blocks away from this site is a school site and a gem of a park site, not to mention the school, the swim club. So in this case, we're taking a neighborhood that probably had an excess of, not that we would never want to call it an excess, but had more green space than a lot of our neighborhoods do. And now this will just be taking it back to what a lot of our neighborhoods throughout the city are. And then with respect to the fact that it is privately owned currently by the schools, but with a pending agreement with the developer, I do think it makes sense within the context of the neighborhood that developer, that property owner should be allowed to develop his homes. And as this, presumably moves forward, it'll be incumbent on us to make sure that that's done in a way that's consistent with the qualities of that neighborhood. So that's in brief my reasoning for why I will be voting to send this to law to prepare that ordinance tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice President Barr. With that, we'll go to Julie Bennett. Good evening, Ms. Bennett. If you're willing to give us restate your name and address for the record, and your address, if you're willing to, please.
Okay, I live, this is Julie Bennett, and I live at 14482 NOLA. So my property does back up to the park that's behind, or the potential property that we're looking at. And I can tell you that there's so many people that use that property. It always has people in it. I mean, people are even using the drive to practice driving or figure out how to park a trailer. There's just a lot going on back there, and it is nice to have the neighborhood. That is why I bought here, was because of that area, the green space that was behind. So yes, I would also ask you to reconsider, because I think it does help, the overall subdivision itself, to have the neighbors be able to walk through that area instead of walking far away to a park. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett, anyone else? Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. To all the attendees that are interested in this particular item, I'll just note for the record and for your understanding here that this is only a procedural vote. This is not a determining vote. The process here requires that, number one, we would forward this to the law department to write the ordinance changing the zoning. But then once that's done and it comes back before us, it would require a first reading and a second reading. A vote that would be determinative of the use of this property would only take place after the second reading. And typically it has been the practice of the city council to hold up any second readings of rezonings until we have a site plan that is proposed by the potential developer as well. So although this is a procedural vote and it does move the ball further along here, this is not in any way a determining vote as to what will happen with the property. Just some clarification there. I understand what you're all saying. I myself am on the fence in regards to what is the best use of this property. I understand what you're saying and what the school district is facing and what the developer wants to do. But again, procedural vote, and we will continue to consider this going forward for at least a few more months, I would imagine. Thank you very much.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's a good clarification and reminder, Councilmember Jolly. All right, anyone else? Seeing no one from the council or no one from the audience, we have a approving resolution to vote on. And just to clarify and underscore what Councilmember Jolly just said, this resolution would approve and refer to the law department the ordinance for preparation. So, Madam Clerk, could you please go ahead and call the vote on this?
Vice President Barr.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
No.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the resolution is approved and will be referred to law to prepare the ordinance. All right, with that, we continue on unfinished business. Moving on to waiver petition. This comes to us from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2020-07-02-06 submitted by Ed Buson, and I apologize, Mr. Buson, if I got your name wrong again, to operate a limited service restaurant with drive-up window facilities, this would be a Big B Coffee, within the Livonia Crossroads Retail Center located on the southeast corner of Middle Belt and Plymouth Road, 11502 Middle Belt Road in the northwest quarter of Section 36. Councilman McCullough?
Thank you, Madam President. I'll offer an approving resolution. We've kind of talked about this. I know the Planning Commission has reviewed this plan.
Okay.
Madam President, point of order.
Yeah, we shouldn't have any discussion. I'm sorry, Councilmember McCullough, we can't have any discussion on the item until we have a second. And support?
I'll support.
Support from Vice President Barr. Councilmember McCullough, please.
Thank you very much. We've discussed this in detail. I Planning Commission looked this over. I think the petitioner, looking at the site overall, that the enhancements that are going to be done to a lot of the parking lot and a lot of the civil and the modification that the petitioner is proposing on the drive-through, I think they have went above and beyond. I'm happy to see that this, hopefully this gets approved and with a Big B Coffee going forward. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember McCullough. Anyone else from council? Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll echo what Mr. McCullough has stated here on the record. I was the one who asked for this to be on the regular agenda as to allow the homeowners to the south an additional opportunity to come forward and make their concerns, if any, heard. I did have an opportunity to speak with the petitioner here by email. I do think this is a good project, and I wish him well in his small business here in Livonia and his continued efforts to make this a good community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to reiterate my support for this project. I think it is a great addition to the eastern corridor of Livonia along Plymouth Road. This is currently a vacant unit, and the landlord and business owner, which is a local resident and owns a Big B Coffee similar to what he's proposed here today nearby. I think this is a great opportunity to take a building, bring it back to life, and hopefully stir up some future business across the street with the Walgreens parking lot and some other local businesses. So these are the kind of partnerships that I look forward to supporting and working with. And I'm excited to see this building brought back to life and business running through it soon. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Donovan. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please go ahead and take the vote on this petition to operate a limited service restaurant with a drive-up window, Big B Coffee.
Vice President Barr.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and we have affirmative vote from all 6 members who are here this evening. So congratulations, Mr. Busan. Again, I apologize. One day I'll get that right. And we look forward to your moving ahead and us having a new Big B Coffee at that point. All right, moving on, unfinished business. Item number 9, a waiver petition. This too comes from the Planning Commission, petition 2020-08-02-07, submitted by Matthew Petrusy on behalf of Mount Hope Memorial Garden Cemetery to construct a mausoleum in the cemetery located on the east side of Middle Belt Road between 6 Mile Road and Pickford Avenue, 17840 Middle Belt Road in the southeast quarter of Section 12. Council. Councilmember McCullough.
I would be happy to offer an approving resolution for purposes of discussion.
Second.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Jolly. Did council want to comment on anything before I see if the petitioner is here? Councilmember McCullough.
Just, reviewing the mausoleum, it seems everything's in order. I did want to, after looking over the agenda packet, we are requiring the petitioner to bond for another soil erosion permit for the additional information that was presented to us at the study session. So just go on record that that is part of this vote.
Thank you, Councilmember McCullough. Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. So I had an opportunity to speak with someone representing the petitioner on the phone today in regards to the question that I had asked about funds held in trust to ensure the maintenance and the longevity of the property going forward. I was educated in regards to what the requirements are for privately owned cemeteries versus nonprofit or religiously owned cemeteries, and I'm satisfied that there's not a concern in regards to this, as it was explained to me that the state license is dependent on such activities being on the up and up and in good order. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Jolly. Anyone else? I don't know if there's a petitioner or anyone from the audience would like to speak to this item. Seeing none, we will go ahead, please, Madam Clerk, and we will take the vote on approval of this petition.
Vice President Barr.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and all 6 of us voted yes, and so we are concurring with the Planning Commission's recommendation to allow the construction of the mausoleum at Mountain Hope Cemetery. And continuing with unfinished business, we move along to item number 10. This is a language change. This is petition 2020-07-06-01 submitted by the City Planning Commission pursuant to Council Resolution 170-20 and Section 23.01A of the Livonia zoning ordinance number 543 as amended, proposing to amend sections 2.10 of Article 2, 4.12 of Article 4, 5.15 of Article 5, and 16.02 of Article 16 to define caregiver grow facility and regulate the zoning districts where medical marijuana facilities can operate. The public hearing was held on September 28th, 2020, and I would like to address the new data we have that I noted at the beginning of the meeting. It is respectfully suggested that the proposed amendment to Livonia Ordinance number 543 is amended, coming to us from the Department of Law, regarding petition 2020-07-06-01 submitted by the City Planning Commission with respect to this item be received and placed on file for the information of the council. Thank you. Council?
Madam President.
Yes.
I'll move approval in this item, or it would be first reading, right?
We actually need a first reading. So
first reading on this.
Thank you. Vice President Barr has offered the first reading on this. And we are also suggesting that the emergency clause be invoked pursuant to Chapter 4, Section 23 of the City Charter, and that the proposed amendments to the Livonia zoning ordinance number 543 as amended from the Department of Law regarding petition 2020-07-06-01 submitted by the City Planning Commission with respect to this item be considered for second reading and roll call vote in accordance with the provisions of the law and city charter. So we need a motion, correct, Mr. Bernier, to invoke the emergency clause?
That's correct.
Madam President.
Vice President Barr?
I'll offer that motion.
Do we have support?
Support.
Support by Councilmember White to invoke the emergency clause. And Madam Clerk, if there's no discussion, would you please take the vote on invoking the emergency clause?
Vice President Barr.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the emergency clause is invoked. Councilmember Barr, or I'm sorry, Vice President Barr, you offered the first reading.
Yeah, I'll offer second reading, Madam President.
All right, Councilmember Barr has offered Vice President Barr has offered the second reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you would please go ahead and take the roll call vote.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the language change submitted by the City Planning Commission is accepted, and the ordinance will become effective upon publication in the newspaper. With this, we go on to new business, beginning with item number 11. This is a request for a block party from Visar Jitaj, and my apologies if I've mispronounced that, to be held on Saturday, October 30th, 2020, from 5 to 10 p.m. on Mallory Drive in the Heritage Square subdivision, with no rain date requested. I don't know if the petitioner is here with us. Let me see. Mr. Jolly?
Madam President, I will offer an approving resolution to move this along.
Thank you. Support from Councilmember Donovic. And it looks like we have Mr. Greg Furman would like to comment on this item. Good evening, Mr. Furman. If you could again, please give us your name, address, or your name and your address for the record.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Greg Furman, 37127 Mallory Drive. I'm within this Heritage Square, speaking on behalf of the czar. So do you need a statement, or is it just moving to approval?
Yeah, you can tell us if you're in support of this, and just give us a little bit of detail, and
Yes,
tell the event.
I'm in support. I know Visar commented that when he brought this to the city, they were unaware of the location. We are a new subdivision on the southeast corner of 6 Mile and Newburgh. The plan is to have a little Halloween party get together. We're a closed community. There's a lot of toddlers with low safety awareness. They kind of just run out in the street. I think it would just be really good to kind of keep the newer close community closer. And kind of block off the street. And we're going to set up 6-foot tables, kind of per the recommendations of, the state, and have children and parents kind of go up to the table. So it kind of complies with the, state rules as well.
Right. I just want to make sure that we heard you correctly. For anyone who's on, you didn't say closed community. You said close community.
Correct.
Referencing the fact that you're all new neighbors in a new area, and have, many of you have things in common, children of the same ages. So,
correct.
All right, Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. So the gentleman said a lot of good things that we want to hear here in regards to setting up a community in a new neighborhood that we all had a little bit of a part in its development. I will note, just to kind of scare him here a little bit, as it is a Halloween party, we have many neighborhoods who are going on their 30, 40, and 50th year of having some sort of block party or something like that. So we expect this new initiative to go forward here for quite some time, and we wish you all the luck in the world. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
All right. Anyone else from council or the audience who wishes to address this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you could please go ahead and take the vote on approving this block party, this Halloween block party.
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the Halloween block party is approved. So, Mr. Furman, we hope you and your neighbors have a great time. Moving on.
Thank you so much.
New business, item number 12 is a request to release general improvement bond, sidewalk bond, entrance markers, landscaping bond, and monuments and markers bond. This comes to us from the engineering division for Mystic Creek site condominiums located in the southwest quarter of section 9 18000, 18040, and 18080 Wayne Road. And this is pertains to Council Resolution 197-17. Before we go to Mr. Zalinsik, Council? Council?
Offer and approving, Madam President.
Approving from Vice President Barr.
Second.
Support from Councilmember Jolly. Mr. Zalinsik, now you're up.
Thank you, Madam President, City Council members. As you know, this is just a bit of housekeeping. Development has been completed. All we're waiting for is the as-built drawings, which we'll bring back to you in a short time, but just trying to get the developer back his bonds that he set forth, obviously in good faith to make sure that everything was completed. So as you know, the development is north of 6 Mile, east off of Wayne, and appreciate your diligence to help returning the money back now that everything's been reviewed and completed. Thanks.
All right, Council. Any questions? Councilmember Jolly.
Madam President, I'll just state really quickly here that this is a new development that recently went in, and it looks beautiful, and they've done a great job with the site, and they've improved not only the home values of the surrounding houses, but probably the whole neighborhood as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? All right, Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the release of all the bonds for Mystic Creek as they were enumerated?
Vice President Barr,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough,
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic,
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly,
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and we will go ahead and we will release the bonds as they were enumerated by the city engineer. Thank you very much. And with this, we go back to audience communication. If there's anyone in the audience who did not have the opportunity to communicate with council during the first part of audience communication, now's a second opportunity to do so.
Madam President.
Yes, Vice President Barr.
I actually had a resident who is unable to call in tonight, but asked me if I could share something with council during this time. So I'll do that now if you're okay. This is from Colleen Connolly at 17755 Fairway. She gave me permission to give her name and address. And she said, I'm hoping you'll be able to tell us that Livonia's libraries will be open to the community for use soon. Farmington Hills, Redford, Novi, and even some Detroit libraries are open. Curbside pickup works for those who just want reading materials and who know exactly what they want. However, it is not adequate for researching reference materials, for quiet study, or for computer access. And then she expresses, again, her desire that the libraries will open again soon. I'll just tack on to that, that in reading her question, it's not the first time I've been asked this question, but it's the most recent time. And it just struck me today that we do have a rec center that's open at least at 25% capacity, and people are able to exercise and work out and with masks. It would seem reasonable to me that we could do similar types of things with the library. So I want to thank Mrs. Connolly for expressing that, and hopefully we can get an answer from the administration on that soon. I think it makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Barr. All right, seeing no one else from the audience that wishes to address the council, I would ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Johnny, move.
Support.
Support from Vice President Barr. And unless someone indicates otherwise, I think we can safely show 6 on that. So we are adjourned at 8:35, and we will reconvene at 8:45 to begin the study meeting. Thank you very much.